Very good. Awesome. Well,
And we're recording. Yay. Hello, everybody.
welcome to the May Community Circle. Thanks for hopping on with us, everybody. Mom and I were pretty stoked about leading together. I think we have a lot of fun doing this, and it's been a while since I've been able to come because I keep having to work. And so I'm really happy to be here with you guys finally. And we thought we'd cover something that can be a bit of a curiosity for people, but I think more accessible than it feels from the outset if you don't have someone to show you, you know? So these are the tools that we both use. And we'll tell you how we use them, and then you can do with that what you will. I will say from the outset, and I know Mom will say the same thing, I'm not an expert. I've taught myself these things, and I figure we use them in the way that works for us. And if that's whatever that is fine. You know, it's a little bit like yoga. Like, you do it in the way that works for you, and as long as it's safe, which these things are all safe, then it's valuable. So
Yeah, and we're hoping that you guys have some tips for us too, like
if anybody has these tools,
doing it. So anything, right?
Yeah, this is all about, we'll learn from each other. So so I guess I'll start by saying some of these things, these all came into my life, I know, slowly, and Mom, yours as well, because I'm always there to want to see it slowly evolve. But the first thing I want to talk about is smudging. And I actually have a beautiful smudge stick here that I will grab, that I haven't even lit yet. Oh, God, it's so good. So this is what a smudge stick can look like. I think I have some Palo Santo also.
I do, Al, right here.
Do you have it?
Yeah.
Sweet. So that's the other alternative. These are two really popular ways to smudge. And I think, well, I know something that's really important to me in this conversation is to acknowledge that this practice, although it's used by a lot of yogis and growth-minded people on a spiritual path, it started as a native practice. And so for some people, this is a cultural heritage. And I think that's important to acknowledge, so that we don't risk bowling over that heritage and being disrespectful on accident. Because I don't think anybody here would do that on purpose, but you don't know unless you know. So this is a conversation that has started lately, and I've been learning about, because I didn't think about where this practice started when I started. But this one is white sage, which is almost always in a smudge bundle, and then, or they'll call this like a smudge stick. Mine has juniper in it because I love juniper, and I've got a connection with a really good friend over juniper. So for me, that's significant. But it can be bundled with all kinds of things. Sometimes it's like beautiful flowers. I've seen those. Sometimes it's just sage. It'll be other woody type, earthy things that will be bundled in. You leave it bound with the string and you light it. And the idea is you want to have, yours, that looks like just sage, huh? Yeah. And what you do, basically speaking, is that you light it and you kind of use the smoke to cleanse your space. The idea is that the smoke is a energy cleansing element. And what you're doing by lighting it and burning it is that you're asking any negative energy, if you feel like there's a spirit around that's got less than ideal energy, whatever it is that your space needs to be cleansed from, you're asking it to leave. So one important thing is to have a window open somewhere so that it can leave. It's meant to be able to leave through somewhere. So I usually open a few windows, or I've always got them open anyway in the summertime. And to light it, the easiest way to do it, I'm not going to light it right now, is to hold it tip down. You leave the string on, otherwise the whole thing falls apart. And you will hold the lighter so that the flame kind of comes up from the bottom. That helps it to light a little bit better. And then you just keep the flame going, walk around your space. And this is a you do you boo kind of situation, but however you feel good about it, like just spreading the smoke. Some people, if you really do this traditionally, there's a feather, you have a big feather and you use the feather to spread the smoke. Sometimes I just move it around the space and allow the smoke to spread naturally, or I'll use my breath or my hand to waft it around. And you just go across your space from one end to the other, up to down, however it is that you want to do it. If you're doing the whole house or a room, I cleanse my mirrors because I feel like that's a good way to set an intention, because the mirror can be a very positive or a very negative place to be. And I'm always working on my internal thoughts and the things I say to myself when I look in the mirror. So I cleanse my mirrors for that reason.
Mm.
You can cleanse your crystals this way, just holding the crystal and letting the smoke waft around the crystals. Um, a lot of people like to do that with new crystals. So the whole idea is that the smoke is cleansing, energetically speaking, and you can use it however you like if you feel like you need it. Some people like to do this each full moon or each new moon, kind of on a cycle, like keeping the space cleansed, setting a new intention, starting a new time frame with a cleansing. And that's what I'll say about it. And also when you're, so if you're gonna, and if you decide to do this, I find myself transitioning towards incense more, but only not because I don't like smudging, but because I have a hard time in New Zealand finding a responsible source for this. Because both the Palo Santo and the sage and such can be, like anything in this world, sourced from people who don't grow it necessarily very carefully or who don't harvest it very carefully. So just be mindful if you decide to buy these things that you do at least a little bit of due diligence to make sure you're getting it from someone who has the right energy about them. Because you'll certainly find plenty of like Spencer's out there or whatever those stores are that will sell this. And you have no idea where it's coming from. So that's how I smudge. And it's actually been a while since I've done it. So I've been thinking about doing it again lately. I think it's about time. It is a very strong smell. I love it. Not everybody loves it. So just know if that's the case and you don't love the smell of it, just don't light it and get a big old ember going on the end of it. You can light just a part of it so that the smell's not so, or the smoke isn't so intense. It tends to look like a bit of a campfire when I smudge, but I don't mind because I like the smell. I'm sure if I was standing outside, it's like rolling out the windows of the tiny house. But so yeah, that's kind of where smudging started. Palo Santos, you do the same. You just light the end of the wooden stick and use the smoke. They have a slightly different smell. The Palo Santo is a little bit sweeter, I think. And if you're not into the super herby smell of the sage, then the Palo Santo might be a good option. Or you can always use incense for the same thing, because it will often have the same. It will often have very similar properties to it with respect to like having frankincense and other ancient herbs, resins, and so on involved in it for cleansing your energy. So this is what, now I'm really wanting to light this one because it's so new and beautiful.
So funny story on that. Prior to COVID, I was teaching a class called Yin and Tonic, where I taught the yin portion of the class and the massage therapist did the tonic part, and a massage therapist went through and like helped people adjust. And it was a lovely, lovely class. Well, she's also on the witchy side with us. And so we were holding it at what is an old church, now turned into kind of like a community center. And we were renting that and doing the class. And when she smudged one day with the sage and like it wouldn't quit burning, and she's like, there must be some like really bad juju in here. So she took it outside when class started, because it was like filling even like that entry room up with smoke. Put it outside in a snowbank. It was a new smudge stick, and even in the snow, that sucker burned all the way down. When we walked out a little after class and we were taking equipment out, we were both like dying, going, "Oh wow." There was a lot of energy there. I have heard like make sure you go up into your corners, like just going through. She taught me to, when you enter if you're going to do like your whole house, let's say, and again, do it your way. She was just saying like when you enter your house, and if you're going to do the whole thing, go counterclockwise through your house. And then like, just like Allie was saying, like sometimes I have to relight my stick. When I use sage, I usually have like a plate or something with me because of the ashes. So sometimes, yeah, just having that with you so that you don't have to then go clean up ashes all out of the house. I did not know yeah, to check for sourcing on this. So this was kind of like, I bought these and I'm like, okay, Suzanne, I think I sent you one. If I'm not mistaken, did I send one in your package? So Suzanne has one from my package as well. So anyway, yeah, like I didn't know better. Now I know better, I can do better. But so using up what I have, but again, just do it your way. But those were kind of some of the tips that, and stairwells, make sure closed doors, closets, like opening up closets and just making sure you get any energy out, and just setting an intention, like, or inviting it, either what it is that you want to come in or what it is that you want to leave. So either way.
And that is actually an important part of this conversation, is what to do with it when it's burning. This is actually one that I should finish this one first. That's just about done.
Oh,
But
another, that's a little one.
you need to have somewhere to put it down so that it doesn't burn anything. A snowbank is not a good plan. I mean, it shouldn't be your baseline plan. So it doesn't matter. It can be a plate. It doesn't really matter. I love pretty things, and actually a friend found this for me, so that's why I have it. But this is a pawa shell, a abalone shell, that a friend had found for me, that I filled with little dried wildflowers. This is what my environment looks like. And this is what I mean with witchy. Like, this is what used to be associated with people being witchy. But the truth is, it's just people finding importance and significance and support in the things that are naturally around us, or at least they are if we go looking for them. They used to be more abundant. And this used to be kind of, the more normal way that people did this. And so it stands to reason to me that people used to live a much more intentional life, with fewer distractions and fewer things dragging them out of their presence in their body and in their space. And so this is just intentionally picking up those tools, deciding what they do for you, and using them. I think it's easy to kind of giggle about them, and I think they seem a little bit silly and a little bit far-fetched until somebody kind of brings it down to ground level and reminds you that they're just tools. And so I don't care if you have a piece of string that reminds you of all the things that are important to you in life, then that string is important. And if it helps you stay focused on what you want to do and how you want to live your days, then it's not really important what the tool is. But it is really cool to engage with cultural practices that can still be relevant, as long as we do it in a respectful manner. And so I rest mine here, or I've got an incense burning bowl where I put my incense cones. And so I'll often just rest once it's burning and I'm ready to let it burn out. I just rest it burning side down and let it burn itself out. Does anybody smudge?
Yeah, I put mine like on my altar.
Yes, I've got an altar. I'll show you guys, and we'll probably talk about. I've got the tiny house has kind of turned into one big altar, which I'm not sorry about. But like, I've got little altars set up all around, with my crystals and my oils, and I will also set my bowl down there. Does anybody smudge? Does anybody in the group smudged? Yeah.
Suzanne, what do you smudge with, Suzanne?
I have the sage stick, and one of my daughters lives in Hawaii, and she's making them, and she just sent me a couple of them, and they have some. One of them had some dried flowers in it, and it's beautiful. Yeah, it's really nice. I haven't actually burned them yet, because I have another one that I still have, but the smell is strong. And I do like it. I do like it. But whenever I do it, I always think anyone walking by is going to think we're getting high as kites in here, because it just reminds me so much of marijuana.
Yeah,
so I'm always like, I better be careful. If I work in a school, so I'm like, I better not be smudging and then going to school.
You know what? I figure just let them think. If somebody wants to think it's marijuana and they come looking in your house, they're not going to find any. So
no, I think it's funny. My kids, when I started doing it, even when they were younger, they thought it was so funny, because they're like, Mom, you do know what that smells like. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I was a kid once too.
Yeah.
I know more than you think I know. And then I have a yoga teacher that does it in a lot of her classes, and she's been doing it outside, last spring, and she'll start again soon. And she always smudged before every class.
That's a cool idea. Nice. I like that
Yeah.
idea. If you're doing it outside and you're not risking like, you know, an asthmatic in your class or something with too much smoke, that actually, I like that idea. That's cool.
Yeah, and you could smell it. Like I'd pull up and I could smell it like from the sidewalk, and I'd be like, oh yeah, her neighbors are probably thinking, what are those ladies doing back there?
Keep them guessing. Keep them
That's
guessing.
great.
Exactly.
Got to keep people on on their toes.
You know, Kat, one time I ran a race at the reservation. So Kat lives in Mount Pleasant. None of you care where Mount Pleasant is. I don't know why I said that. Anyway, there's the Chippewa Indian tribe there, which is where I used to live as well, near Kat. And I went to a race there one time, and God, what was that called, Kat? Do you remember? And they did saging, like they saged the whole crowd.
Oh,
The human race.
Yeah. Yeah. What was it?
oh, what a cool name. I don't even run anymore, and you're making me want to rock up to run that though.
Yeah. And then they would just go up and have you done it before, Kat?
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
It's usually like in the week, like on a Thursday
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, it's on an evening or something when they had it, but yeah, but they would go up and down, and that was my introduction to saging. I was like, that smells like sage. Really?
Follow your nose.
So it in some places it is more common. Like the tribe there just took it out to their events and did it, which is cool, and educating the people in the community.
Yeah, and I think that's why it feels so important to me to bring up the cultural thing, is because I think it's easy for, you know, there's a lot of not right now, there's a lot of conversation around like spiritual whitewashing and cultural appropriation, and it's all a very important conversation to have, and it's important that we have it on the other side of that culture. It's not their job, whoever they are, it's not their job to teach us. Like, we can teach ourselves and learn out of respect, and it doesn't take heaps of time to understand and to try and to be respectful. And so I think, at least the way I think about it, is that I'm aware that this is not naturally my cultural heritage, but I do it out of full respect and with a very similar, if not the same, intention of the way that it was meant to be used traditionally. And I think from there, just making sure you mention it to other people, you know, just being the one to say, absolutely, sage, you know, go ahead and smudge. Just make sure you look for responsible products and remember it's somebody's heritage, and that's how things change. And so, yeah, that's what we do. And actually, what's funny is I was just telling you guys I have a special connection with juniper through a friend, and that friend just rocked up in the meeting. So hello, Maggie. I love you, sister.
Megs, it's Megs. It's the new mama.
Maggie just had a new baby, so yeah, sending love to our Penelope. Oh, are we about to get to see her?
Oh, bring it on. There's Miss Penelope. Oh, I miss you. Oh,
hello, Penny, baby girl. In case anybody's wondering, Maggie is the Pachamama witchy Wonder Woman of all of us, and she is our herbalist and our natural esthetician and our just vibey rockin' babe. I'm so happy to see you.
Mm-hmm.
I love you guys so much. This is an awesome call. I'm happy to be here.
I'm
Wow.
so glad.
Contribute. You know more than we do, sister.
Yeah. I'm glad you're able to gift us with a little bit of your time. I know you're busy, so
Great to see you.
I love you. Mwah. Other witchy things that we love to do. Crystals. This is a really fun one. I have really crystals have become a big part of my practice of curating my space to support my wellness and my health and my balance and my ability to hold intentions. So I've built a collection and I love them all. But what's cool about the crystals is that this is also a very old practice. I don't know where it started. It probably started in many places, just like smudging did. But each stone is reputed to have particular emotional qualities, particular ways that they impact our energies, and some of them are quite protective and guarding against negative energies. And it's really just a matter of deciding what kind of vibes we talk about vibrations, and I think the language around a lot of this stuff seems silly until you start to learn what people are really trying to communicate when they say it. But when we say vibes, really the truth is that we just believe that everything has energy and this kind of vibration about it. Some are higher, some are lower. And then we're kind of always endeavoring towards those higher vibrations because that helps us to operate at the level that we want to, whatever that might be. And also to help us help pull us out of funks when we feel like our vibration is sinking a bit, our energy. So I will show you guys. Oh gosh, I've got so many. I'll just show you guys a
I'm
few.
going to show you Moonstone. I bought this for my dog.
And I love Moonstone. I used to only get raw stones because that was what I was drawn to. Not probably too surprising, but lately I've got a few more polished ones. It just kind of depends now. It can be nice to have polished ones because you can hold them in your palm and they're very tactile that way. But so are the raw stones, and this is my Moonstone.
And this one I actually either like put it on Luna's heart when I'm like massaging her at night, or sometimes like I will rub it on her when I've got like essential oils going and stuff. And so this is the one for her.
And the idea is that it imparts that energy on you, or if it's a protective stone, I can see Morpheus poking around outside, the puppy. It can impart that energy on you if you're trying to align with what the stone represents for you, or it can take things. So it can help to offload negative energy. A stone that does that, and I have a very big, heavy one, is tourmaline, black tourmaline. So this one's really cool. This is a volcanic stone. So I wonder if I can show you the facets on this camera very well, but so it's a volcanic stone with like a really linear structure. It's gorgeous. It's really heavy. Mine has what they call inclusions, a few like clear bits that got stuck somewhere deep in the earth as it was being formed. This is considered like an anchoring stone, a protective stone, a very protective stone. Helps to ward off negative energies, helps to convert negative energies into positive energies. So transmuting feelings like that. There are lots of ways to use your crystals. And again, this is a little bit of, I'm just not into prescribing, telling people how to do things, but some ideas. Just having them around your space and looking at them can be enough of a reminder for me, especially when I look at my fluorite. I've got a beautiful fluorite tower. I wonder if I can show you in the light. It's really pretty. And it's quite transparent. It's just really hard to do that on a webcam. This is the stone of quieting a busy mind, of organizing a busy mind, an anxious mind. And I can get myself really, really busy. And so looking at it reminds me like, wait, keep doing what you're doing, but remember to stay organized and focused about it as best you can. Selenite is another one that's associated with aligning with your highest vibration, just your highest self, your most, for lack of a better phrase, your most woke self, like the part of you that's just the most aligned with where you want to be. This is selenite. And actually selenite, before I forget to mention it, if anybody does get one or has one, don't put it in water. It will melt. It's a little bit like salt in that way. But when I look at it, I remember, okay, get back on that vibration that you want to be on and then continue what you're doing. But so having them around in your space can be useful in that way. You can sit with them in meditation. I often do that in the morning when I play with my cards. When I pull cards, which I'll show you guys shortly, I'll set up a little altar around myself. I just pull intuitively a couple of crystals that I feel like I need that vibration that day, set them on my yoga mat with me, and then I'll sit down with my cards. I do a little meditation. Sometimes I do a reading from a book, and then I pull tarot cards. So you can incorporate crystals in many ways. I carry them with me when I travel sometimes. I take them to the beach with me. It's just, they're almost like a talisman to remind you of something. And sitting with them and holding them can be enough to align with that energy if it's in meditation or whatever it is that you're doing. I've got some that are great for dreaming. I've got them up on my bed. So
you can find them in nature.
Yeah, Mom found this one, which is amazing.
It's quartz. I've not cleaned it yet. I got it on a recent trip to North Carolina. And you can see it has like, it's almost purple, just a little nugget in there. But I found it. You guys are going to appreciate this. And Scott said, do you know how many years that's been sitting there waiting for you, being charged and cleaned and ready to share its energy with you? And I was like, well, no, I hadn't thought about that, but I'm really surprised you did first. But thank you. So we brought it home with me. I think he told me it's quartz, so I'm saying it's quartz. Okay, it's quartz. And that's all you need to know, right? Like,
Yeah.
to me, it's quartz. And to me, this is a really cool stone. You can also like, Maggie, this is from Maggie, and this is now Luna's because she needs her own. But this is called a gua sha. And so this is what I use at night on her. And I'm really bad, Maggie. If you can type it in the chat or let me know. I can't remember which stone this is. I want to say, I'm not even going to because I'll get it screwed up. But when I put the essential oils on, like this is what I use on Luna.
It's Bain stone, Bain stone. Yeah.
I knew it started with the B. Thank you so much, Max. So this one is Luna's. And then Scott has one too, but then I also have one for my face. It's a black Bain stone. This one just happens to be white. So the other one I have are malas. So I have a mala that I treat the same way as far as like cleaning it and that kind of stuff, setting it out in the moonlight to let it get charged or into the sun, whichever, or both. Sometimes a full moon, sometimes a new moon, sometimes every night, whatever. Whenever I feel like it needs a good charge, I'll set it outside. They froze the other night. I think I sent you a picture, Allie. They all had frost on them when I brought them in. But anyway, that's another form of a stone. And you can either wear it as jewelry, you can use it during chanting, you can have it on your yoga mat. there's multiple ways to use that as well.
Yeah, and that's a good point about your found one, because I actually have, this is a crystal to me. It's just a piece of pumice. It would never be considered a crystal, except that I picked it up on the island outside the restaurant. And so for me, this is like the literal piece of Tonga that I carry around, and I keep it as my reminder. And it's always in my field of view. I often carry it because I miss the island and I miss my people there and I miss everybody. So I carry it, this to me, it holds significance. It otherwise wouldn't, but that's all right. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's, I talked earlier, I've actually got one I picked up at the top. This is really a rock. I couldn't even tell you what it's made out of, other than the same thing as the mountains that it came from. But when I climbed a tall peak recently, I took this down to remind myself that I can do anything. And it sits in my tiny house as that reminder, and so every time my eyes fall on one of these things, it's a moment. If I'm being intentional and mindful, it's a moment to realign. And that becomes really valuable. This is a palm stone. Actually, it's technically called a worry stone. And I think that's because it's got the divot for your thumb. This is a palm stone that's just smooth, doesn't have the divot. This is Labradorite, which I'm pretty sure I won't be able to show you. I'm going to try though, the flash, because I just have to find the right angle for the camera, which will be tricky. I don't know if I can, but it's got, oh, there you can see it. It's got blue and gold. There it is.
Yeah.
That you can only see in the right angle in the sun. And
Beautiful.
this is the stone of dreams and intuition. They all have their own significance, or their own associations with energies. And so this is the stone of dreaming and of manifestation. And so that's where I'm at all the time. So Labradorite is one of my favorites. This is a carnelian. So, it's just about finding the ones that when you read the description, you go, oh, I could use some of that. Or that's often how I find them, actually. Whatever I'm feeling, if I'm in a moment of whatever it is, whether it's overwhelm or lots of ideas, but needing organization, or even like, especially in the heart of COVID, when I was feeling really down, I would just look for stones that had qualities that I felt like I needed to bring into my life. And then when they arrive and they're sitting around in your environment, whether you're holding them and meditating with them or just your eyes fall on them as you walk around your house, then it does help. And I found them very useful in that way. So
We do oils too, though, right? Like when you want a higher vibration oil, we go to rose or, and that smell reminds you, right, to be at that vibration. So it's a similar practice of how you choose the oils, which ones are more awakening, which ones are more grounding. And so
yeah, embodying that energy that you want to have, and it all starts with recognizing whether or not you're where you want to be. Sometimes I am. Sometimes I'm vibing so high and I'm just feeling so good that like it's my crystals that are like reach for your highest self that I align with the most. And some days I look at those and I'm like, I can't even. I just need my tourmaline and my obsidian today because it's all I got. I'm like, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Does anybody have crystals that you brought along? Is anybody tired of hearing my voice? Because I'm tired of hearing it.
I have some, but they're upstairs. But I do I'd like to say I did go to the class where we talked about the new moon talk about putting crystals outside.
Yeah, Maggie
and
did
so yeah, so that was incredible hearing that. I never thought of that. So I've done that twice since that call. And it was really a great experience, even like preparing them, like putting them outside and explaining it to my husband and my son, who were like, what are you doing now? And then the next morning, like receiving them back into the house. It was really something. Yeah. I really liked it.
It's a really incredible experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's a ritual. It's a ceremony, right? And you can set an intention with that stone and like, oh, you're all clean and charged for me. Guess what? Right?
Yeah.
And
I definitely feel like I have more of a connection now with them, as opposed to they were just pretty things on my bureau, on my altar, or on my desk. I have them, different places, and I appreciated them. But I can honestly say I appreciated them and I was curious about them, but I didn't feel personally connected to them. I wanted to, but I hadn't made the space to do that. So now I definitely do. Sometimes I'll bring one to work. If I have a pocket, I'll put it in my pocket or my pocketbook, or I might bring it and put it right on my desk so I see it all day long. So yeah, it's been great. And I've given them as gifts to my kids, but I don't know, what's that?
Beautiful necklace.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yep,
Moonstone.
I remember you having one. Yes, it was a crystal. That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Maggie, I see you saying it's all about the ritual. That's what I was going to say too. It's, I think when you're on this journey, you start to realize the value of ritual in staying in alignment. And whether it's the ritual of prepping your food that makes you feel good, or the ritual of writing in a journal, or the ritual of preparing your crystals and being more connected to them and the energies that they have to offer. It's such a powerful tool because we all have, I'm convinced I really think every human has these dreams of things that we want to do or things that we want to build or be, or to the ways that we want to live. And I think where a lot of people get hung up is that they just don't have the tools to get them there. They don't necessarily have the community and the support. They don't necessarily realize what it takes to stay connected to that path in whatever way works for you. And these are just some options. And at a certain level, you need things from the outside to help you stay there. And these are the things that we found useful. So that's the crystals that I've got. I wanted to show you guys too, like sometimes you don't necessarily, or at least I've recently bought these stones and I'm like head over heels for these. And these are blue apatite. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But these are natural and better in the sunlight, of course. But they're really light blue, like they remind me of the color of the water, and they actually kind of look like the water, like a wave breaking on the beach. So I have them around. Again, no surprise. You all know I'm obsessed with Tonga. Because when I look at them, they remind me of what I feel like when I'm sitting on the beach listening to the waves crash. And so again, just staying in tune with the things that are important to us in whatever way works. That's what it's all about, and giving people permission to do things that I know it's easy for people to giggle at these things. And to be honest, I just am not bothered. I don't care. I don't care if people think I'm weird, because it's such a positive presence in my life that someone else's doubt has no impact on it. But I want to acknowledge that that's not necessarily easy at first when you try to get used to doing things that are a little bit different. So I want to commend everybody that does. And Suzanne, just like you were just saying, like, it's easy for the kids or your husband to get a giggle out of it, or Scott did for a long time. And that's that's not anything negative on them, but I know that that's easy, and it's easy to be dissuaded by opinions of people outside that just don't quite get it. But that's okay if they don't get it. They don't have to, it's helping you get to where you want to be. And so yeah, to each his own, I suppose, is what I'm saying. The cards, the tarot cards. So this one's really fun. Before we start, does anybody, I know Mom and I know Maggie, all have decks. Does anybody else have tarot decks or a tarot deck? No? Has anybody ever had tarot cards pulled or had the experience of being around someone who's doing that?
I've not ever had anybody pull them for me. And I know that people can do that, but like I've not, had a tarot. Let me put it this way. I've never had like a tarot reading. Like I've been in classes before where like they pull it for the class.
Yeah.
Like these 2 cards for today's class, but like not a tarot reading personally, if that makes sense.
I see. I've actually never had anybody pull my tarot cards either. I'm the only one that's ever pulled cards for me that I'm aware of. And I see Caitlin saying that she's had a reading. Caitlin, I know you've got the babe, but if you are able to hop on and you want to tell us about it, we're here for it. Let's see. I've got my decks handy. Mom, you've got yours, So a couple things about tarot decks. Another very magical thinking, very witchy tool, but can be incredibly powerful. And I think it's all about finding the deck that calls to you. I wanted one for a long time and didn't buy one because nothing was calling to me. And then one day I hopped on a certain crystal shop's website that I love and I support because they get their crystals from responsible dealers and they can tell you where they're sourced and that they're genuine and carefully sourced and so on. And this one deck just like grabbed my eyes, couldn't stop looking at it. So I went ahead and bought it. 2 things. So usually when you're getting a tarot deck, the 2 things that a lot of people talk about is who wrote the materials, because they're all different. Many of them have different themes or different purposes. So they'll have different authors who have assigned stories and significance to their cards. They'll be within a certain theme, like a grander theme that is traditional for tarot, but within that there's a lot of different interpretations and a lot of different directions taken. If they want to theme a deck for, like this one I have is themed for like seasons in life of like personal growth, which is always for me, but seasons in life for personal growth. So this person will have taken traditional tarot and utilized it to interpret those messages in a way that leads to that growth mindset. I've got another one that's much simpler. The messaging is a lot less heady, and I did that on purpose because there are some days that, like with my crystals, there's some days that my head doesn't have space for what this one's going to tell me. But this one is very simple and very directed at small actions and much simpler messages. And so that's what I love about this deck. But finding an author, I didn't find it as hard because I just sort of looked at the theme of the deck and picked one that aligned with me. And so I didn't pay that much attention to the author, to be honest. Some people are quite famous in the tarot world for their authorship and also for their artwork. That's the other thing you'll hear is about the artwork. So finding one that visually appeals to you when you use it. So if you're in the market for a moon deck, that's what this one's called. If you're in the market for a tarot deck, just know it might take a little bit of shopping around to find one that aligns with you. Yeah, moms are really themed, which is really cool.
This one is an Ayurvedic one. The guiding elements, an Ayurvedic path. And then mine, the other one I showed you, Wisdom of the Crones.
I love that whole crone energy thing. I've been really obsessed with the whole idea of like generational wisdom and yeah.
So I'm a health coach as well. And so we, my partner and I, who are the coaches, call ourselves the Badass Crones. So this deck is very appropriate. And then this one I learned about in my health coaching. So if it would be helpful, Allie, when we do the follow-up email, maybe we could put links to our decks in case people were interested in just looking at them.
Yeah, absolutely. I can even link to the shops that I like to shop at, because for the New Zealand people down here and the Australia people, that will be useful. And then if you're in the US, it might just be helpful, even if you're not necessarily going to order from down here. Just
Can we order from down there?
I'm sure you could. I'm sure they'll ship up there. So you could either do that, or even just utilize it as like, if you want to just scroll through their page of decks to see kind of what's out there and to have an idea. So I'll show you. This is the first deck that I got, and I really love it. It is a traditional deck in that it has certain suits. They're called arcana. I'm still very much learning this in tarot. To be really frank, I picked up a tarot deck and I was like, I'm just going to pick a card and see what happens. Oddly enough, I started to find that I would pull a card and it would have some sort of spooky significance to me. And I think that's what they're designed for, because they're tools, again, meant to help you stay in a certain headspace and a certain intention in your life. So I don't mind if people doubt the magic behind these. I don't doubt the magic behind these. I've had experiences before where I pulled a card and I was like, I don't know. I had my doubts, or I felt like I was hanging on to, I was creating things in my mind, which again, who cares if I am, but I thought I was. So I shuffled the deck and I pulled the same card again. And so like sometimes things will come up like that. That's fun and spooky. But this is a more traditional deck in that it includes the traditional suits, which are, let's see if I can easily find one. Weird. Anyway, let's see if I can easily find one from each. So swords is one suit. And they typically will go through 1 through 10, and then there's sort of the equivalent of like king, queen, ace. So it's page, knight, king, queen, and of each suit. So there will be one of each of those in swords. There will be one of each of those in cups. And these have different significance. And I'm going to try to remember this off the top of my head, but I think swords is usually like your words, your actions, those kinds of things. Cups typically relates to your emotional life and abundance. I'm looking for, if I can find one quickly, I'll show you guys the other suits. Pentacles is one of them. And see, I love the artwork on this deck. I think this deck is gorgeous, but not everybody will appeal or have the same appeal with the art. Pentacles usually deals with kind of worldly things. So possessions, material possessions, financial life, these kinds of things. And then I will try to find, there it is, a wand. So wands are the other of the suits, for lack of it, they're called arcana, but of the other suits. And wands are typically like your intentions, your dreams, the things you're trying to go after and to manifest into the world. So essentially, you can do this any way you like. Decks come with a guidebook. This is what makes it very easy to just start, even if you haven't been trained in this, which I haven't ever. In this book, each card will have a page. Let me find an easy one to demonstrate with. Each one will have a page. Like this is the page in my book, in my deck for the Knight of Swords. And it will give me a breakdown of the messages meant to be taken from that card, the interpretations of the number combined with the suit. And in my book, they talk about reverse. So what happens is you sit down with your deck, you shuffle it because you're kind of putting your juju all over it. You're putting your energy on there. While you're shuffling it, you can either be, I see you. This is actually what I look like when I'm doing it.
No doubt, that's the whole thing.
You can shuffle it with a question in mind and actually ask your deck a certain question. What I usually do is hold kind of an intention, which is, I'd like to start my days with cards. So like, what kind of day is it going to be? What do I need to think about today? Or sometimes I try to have an empty head and I just wait and see what comes out of my deck. But you shuffle it and you pull some cards. I started by pulling just one card because that was all I could really wrap my head around. And the one card that I pulled, I would then read the page and kind of keep that intention in my head during the day. If you pull it out of the deck right side up, then you read the normal interpretation. If you have a deck that has reverse interpretations, then when you pull it out of the deck, if you pull it out and it's upside down, then you read the reverse message, which will often be kind of an other side.
Okay, keep talking.
Well, yours may not, because not all your decks have the arcana. That's the other thing I was going to say. This is a traditional deck in that it has all the arcana. My other deck does not have arcana. It doesn't have cups, swords, knights, kings, queens, any of that. Like your Ayurvedic one, I think. They're just, each card has a message on it associated with it. So not all decks are made that way. And that's why this is my complicated deck, my heady day deck. And the other one is my I need a simple message deck. I do love this though. And I'm going to pick a random page. This is exactly the kind of thing that tarot people love. Pick a random page and see what it says. I'm going to pick a random page just to give you an idea. But so for instance, if I pulled the 5 of Swords, which I actually pull this card pretty regularly, my deck would tell me the 5 of Swords reflects self-inflicted energies that keep us in a stagnant space of negativity or loss. Through conflict, disagreements, or impulsive behavior, there may have been an involuntary burdening of yourself or others. This card highlights pointless winning and the need to be right regardless of the outcome, and comes at a high cost that may alienate others. And there's a longer interpretation. But if you pull it in reverse, for instance, it'll say, this card prompts us to consider how we can turn a negative into a positive. There may be a need for closure before moving forward if our fears have prevented us from being strong in our convictions. It could be that others do not agree with the direction you're heading in. Stand strong and listen to your gut. Don't let negative thoughts or opinions of other people affect you. When you use your tarot cards. And so you can see that like the interpretation can be quite different if you pull it in reverse. And I'm to the point where I'm still just playing with it. So I like to pull 2 cards from this deck and kind of in my mind start to conceptualize how they combine the interpretations, how they play with each other. And then I'll pull 1 card from my more simple deck because it feels like putting an action step to some very heady concepts. And my other deck also comes with a book that you can read of interpretations, but the cards are quite different. So that just has a simple, I wonder if I can even read this. I am of the earth in harmony with nature. That's like backwards and on a screen. So you can see, like, that's the back. These are much simpler, very simple messages. And when I read the interpretation in the book, it's also a very simple interpretation, very straightforward interpretation, and a ritual that I can do if I like. Some of them are particular meditations. Some of them are take a walk in nature barefoot. Just much simpler messaging, but along the same lines. So that's why I like both of my decks. Mom, do you want to show us what yours look like?
Yeah, so my Wisdom of the Crones does not have necessarily a book with it, but if I were to like pull one, I can show you. Let's see what we get here. Ooh, fear. You were just talking about fear. So it'll have like just the word on the front, but then on the back, it kind of has the interpretation or reading on it. So there's no book associated with this one. You can just turn it over and read the card. My Ayurvedic deck has beautiful artwork. So they all have this on it. And you can kind of see the moon and stuff up there. And then when you pull a card, like on the back, so the one I pulled for tonight, no surprise, Aromatic Awakening. So you can kind of see like the moon phases up here, but it's beautiful artwork. And then I would go to my book and look for Aromatic in the index. There's also like some intro pages here that you can read. Eventually, maybe I'll do that, maybe. And maybe not. But these are all associated with the elements. Earth, water, fire, air, and then ether and space. So you would just go to the page. And then you could read what Aromatic Awakening was all about. So I would say mine's fairly simple. And like there's no reverse, like I didn't even know what that was till Allie just told me. So mine, I think it's just pretty artwork, straightforward. And my health coaching is based in Ayurveda. So that's probably why I feel drawn to that.
And you can find decks out there for literally everything. Like it'll deal with, each card will have a crystal on it and its significance. So you can learn that way. There are yogic decks for the 8 limbs of yoga and the yogic lifestyle, which I know that because I want one. And so this is a much more traditional deck in that it has all of those suits and the numbers and the reverse and all of that. I do want to say, if you're interested in that kind of really magical deck, don't let it intimidate you because, and I haven't read these yet either, but they're in here. I just don't read directions. Is that the whole first part of this book is reading different ways to pull tarot, different types of spreads that you can do, what the different suits mean. And so just know that, there's always a way to learn. Right now I'm at a point where I like pulling 2 of one deck and 1 of the other because that works for me, but maybe someday I'll do full spreads for myself, or people who are really energetically connected and gifted at these things will pull cards for other people. Like Caitlin had a reading done. And you utilize them however you like. I've got 3 cards sitting on my altar right now that I pulled a couple of days ago, and I didn't pull new ones because I really liked the ones I got. And they deal with like building your dreams and the energy of the fox. And the energy of the fox is very like quick-witted and adaptable and able to change direction when needed. And that's how my life runs right now. So yeah, don't let tarot scare you off. You don't have to be a witch or have a crystal ball or any of those things. But it can be really powerful in choosing the messaging that you're giving yourself every day. Whether it's the crystals or the oils or the tarot cards or smudging, whatever any of those tools are that you choose to use. It's really just choosing the messaging that you put into your head every day and helping to change those stories and change the way we talk to ourselves so that we can move through life in the way that we want to, instead of in an automatic setting. Does anybody have any questions? I want to be respectful of time, but I also want to give you guys a chance to ask questions, or if anybody wants to pull a card, I would pull a card.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So this is all very new to me, so thank you. I'm just starting to like dip a toe in the water and so I have some like roller bottles that have crystals in them. Do you have any advice on what types of oils to mix? Like, is there a right or a wrong way to do that?
I'll answer the easy one first. There is no right or a wrong way, because all you're going to be doing is combining energies, meaning, significance. So they don't necessarily have to match each other. It could be that they complement each other in the way that they both bring different things. So they don't have to be matchy. I have one right here. This is probably similar to what you have. And that these are tiger's eye. And the one that I have, the roller ball, is also a crystal. And I say, I know this can be kind of a tough instruction at first, but I think it's a good place to start, and just know that it will get easier with time, is to just follow your intuition. Because sometimes you might be a little bit surprised by how aligned those choices are, or how much sense they make to you when you look them up. But Mom and I both have resource books that we could either look oils up in it for you, or just give you the name of the book if you want to get one for yourself, that gives the more energetic and emotional qualities of the oil, as opposed to just the physical wellness impacts that it can have. And it can be fun to match them. So this one I've matched. Tiger's Eye is very much about determination and strength and perseverance. And I put in here the blend that I've named Rise and Thrive. So the oils of abundance, manifestation, and bravery. So for me, those things all match. But if this was rose quartz in here, which is much about the heart chakra, the feelings, the emotions, the love, unconditional love. If I matched the same bit of oils, the same combination of oils with my rose quartz, well, then this roller just feels a lot like supporting my heart's endeavors and, the things that are important to the core of me, and being brave enough to do that, and bringing that into the real world. So there isn't a right or a wrong. But if you wanted some guidance because it felt better to kind of try to match energies, then Mom and I could both look up oils in our books for you to help you match them if you want to.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, I have similar bottles, but they're all like sitting in a box, and I haven't done anything with them yet. Yeah.
Bring them with you when you come spend the weekend. Kat's coming up for a weekend in a couple of weeks. And I have that emotional book that Allie's talking about. So if you've got the rollers, I got the book, and we can match or not. So
that's cool. Yeah. And being new to this, that's a really fun place to be. It's exciting to be new to something because you don't have any idea to what it could turn into for you. And so I thank you for coming and hanging out with us and being open-minded, because it's fun once you start to dip your toes in and see like, oh, that one doesn't fit so well, or like, oh, actually that feels really nice,
We'll just have Allie on speed dial, Kat. No worries. I'll be like, I don't know what I'm doing. Just like, we'll call Allie.
Thank you for asking that. Yeah, it's a really important point. There is no right or wrong way, but it can be fun to read and to learn how to mix and match these things. Then you become the alchemist, the magician, the witch, mixing these energies together in the way that works for you. So look, modern day potions.
You're going to have to post out on Rise and Thrive, Allie, your combination for that Rise and Thrive blend.
Yeah, I'm thinking about selling them actually.
That's what I'm talking about. Post, well, could you let us?
I'm thinking about it. We'll see. I have lots of dreams. Does anybody else have any questions?
Hi, everybody. I have a question.
Yeah.
The camera is a bit bad.
There you are.
A healer in Hungary, where I'm originally from, told me that when you use crystals, especially when you're carrying them on your body or around you, then time to time you need to clean them, as she said. I'm not sure how to translate it, but you need to clean them to recharge them, because they can't heal anymore. But she didn't really tell me how she does it, because it was sort of part of, the healing process, which she was doing as a job. So would you be able to tell me about, like I heard at the beginning, because I was a bit late, that you can put it out to have, for example, when it's full moon, and what are the other ways to clean them? Because I feel that if I'm using them, but I'm not recharging them, or I'm not doing the right thing, that's why I haven't really tried them. I have some crystals, but I've never really done anything with them. So I just want to learn how to use them properly before I start using them.
Absolutely. So there's a couple of ways. So setting them in the full moon light, wherever they can get that, either inside or outside, depending on how accessible that is for you, is a really good way to charge them. It's also a good way to cleanse them. There's several ways that people like to do to cleanse them. I spoke in the beginning about, in this, I don't know if you have this, but if you like to smudge, and if you have sage or Palo Santo, any of those things, you can use the smoke to cleanse them energetically. just by putting them in the smoke, either by burning it, you can hold it over and let it kind of bathe the crystal, or even with it sitting on a counter, just kind of coming around it to help clear the energy from its space. One way that I've never done, but that I've been thinking about doing, is as long as you don't have crystals that can't go in water, there's only a handful of them, but just be sure. People will put water, bottles of water or containers of water out in the full moonlight and make moon water that's meant to charge the water. And you can actually put your crystals in your moon water to cleanse them and to charge them. So that's one way you can do it. You can cleanse them with the smoke. You can cleanse them with oils. If you have oils, you can use that to kind of do, not necessarily soak the crystals in it, but kind of putting it over your hands and sort of using it as a blessing, just because what you're doing is trying to release the energy they've held on to for you so that it can go and they've got the space again to help. They say there are a few crystals that don't need cleansing and charging and all that. I just treat mine all the same because I don't know which ones are which, and I figure they don't mind the extra love. But yeah, those are the big ways. Sitting it in the moon to charge the full moon light to charge it. You can cleanse them with moon water, with smoke from your incense or your Palo Santo, or your oils. I'm thinking those are the biggest ways that I know of. Mom, do you know any other ones?
Maggie taught me that you can also put it in the new moon. So when the moon is the darkest.
To refresh it, to renew it. Okay.
Yeah, just recharge it. So full moon or new moon. I've also read that you can put it in the sunlight. So like if you leave it out for a 24-hour period of, a period of the sun, a period of the moon, like that whole 24-hour period will also help to magnify the charging. I don't know.
Yeah.
I intuitively just put them out, and when they come back in, they come back in. I guess
conceptually, to me, that makes sense though. The sun would kind of be energetically burning off things, and then it can sit in the moonlight and recharge. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So
does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Cool. Awesome. Very good.
Awesome.
Excuse me. Anybody else have any questions? Does anybody have any crystals that you don't know what they are and you're curious?
Hello. I do. Anyway. Elijah. I have a special card sitting on my table, but it's upstairs, Elijah. Elijah sent me a thank you note. And it's still sitting on my kitchen table. Hi, buddy.
One thing I guess we could do is if anybody has crystals, and again, I want to be respectful of time. I know we need to get going soon, but if anybody has any crystals that you have them and you're not sure which stone it is even, because I know that happens to people, maybe let's start a thread in the Facebook group. If you guys want to post a picture of any crystals that you have that you don't know what it is, and we can crowdsource. Either I'll know what it is, and if I don't know what it is, Maggie will definitely know what it is. We can at least get you started in that direction. That way, you know, kind of what you're working with, and you know what to Google, if you're looking for, that's not a bad source, by the way. There are plenty of sites, just kind of pay attention to the name of the site, like the site name. So, if you're reading from a place that you want to, but, there's lots of really good info out there on the significance and the uses of different crystals. So we could identify them that way. We'll crowdsource it. Cool.
About the tarot cards, I just wanted to say that I have a friend who I think does well, not for a living or anything, but for herself and sometimes for me does reading, and she got like 20 maybe 30 years experience of doing that. She's got a few cards, and then she did give me 2 decks, but I was just wondering if you would be interested, then maybe we could invite her, because I know that she's got heaps of knowledge in that area. Because I heard that you just sort of started to, and I don't have much knowledge, but if you would be interested, that I could maybe give her details to you, and then you can contact her if she would love to come and maybe talk about it for a little bit.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Seriously, that'd be so cool. That's what this whole Rise and Thrive thing is about, is bringing together people that have these different expertise and these abilities to teach all of us how to learn how to use these different tools in the community. So please feel free to invite her to the Facebook group, but also absolutely send her info to me, and I'll have a chat with her. That'd be great.
Yeah, because I was thinking of her when you were talking about your experience, that I would like to meet her or talk to her a little bit.
Oh, I love it. That's such a cool idea. And maybe, I mean, if she's really keen, maybe one of these times we could have a call that people could sit down, and if she wants to pull cards or whatever, we'll leave it totally up to her. But there's all kinds of possibilities, but
Okay.
please feel free to start with inviting her. Yeah. And send her
Okay.
info through. That'd be great.
I think she
Or-
would enjoy it as well. Sorry.
Cool.
Like any witchy practices, right? Like we're all willing to learn. So if anybody has any other ones or has friends who have, I don't know, dance around fire, I don't know. I mean, whatever. We would love to, yeah, expand our knowledge of us
Absolutely.
modern witches.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thanks for a great call. And it's really good to see everybody's faces. And I hope it was helpful.
It was
glad-
very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, cool.
Yes, thank you.
All of
And
you
fun.
for being here. This has been awesome. I've really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Well, I'm sending you all so much love, and I'll see you in Rise and Thrive. And then, like I said, if somebody wants to post a picture of a crystal, let's play the Identify It game, and we'll get them all named.
Let's do it.
Cool. Mwah. Sending you all so much
Thank
love.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Take care.
everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Of course.
Stop recording for just a minute and then we'll chat.
Okay. Let me figure
Bye.
that out. There we go.